Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me, Lord. All alone, this tear's journey. Won't you walk with me? Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me.
As a child, I was always very slender. The relay, 100-meter dash, kept very, very active. And then we moved to Milan in grade 7 and grade 8. I kept very active there as well. I did win the award for the best female phys ed award. And then I went to college for a couple of years, and there were 3 and 4 hour breaks in between classes, and we'd hit the cafeteria and do nothing and eat, and started putting on the weight. We were engaged for 2 years, and I started putting on more weight. And my mother approached me and she said, just before you get married, how about you go to Physicians Weight Loss and I'll pay for half and you'll pay for half. And I was kind of surprised because I didn't realize I'd put on weight. And I lost 30 pounds before my wedding, and I got down to about 130 pounds.
Walk with me. All alone, this tear's journey.
I think I probably was negative without even really realizing how negative I was. Whether it was towards my husband, who still probably thought I was beautiful and probably still loved me. He told me he loved me all the time. He worked a lot, he had to make the money to pay the bills, and I started going online to keep myself company. I would take about 50, 60 pictures until I found one that got the right angle without my double chin, and people would say I looked like a model, you're so pretty. But nobody could see me. So I could have been 180, I could have been 190, I could have been more than 200. I probably found myself hiding or withdrawing from the relationship. I don't know if I actually saw that when I was married. I think looking back, I can probably see that the hiding or the negativity did play a part. And eventually he found somebody else. Kind of a difficult time, but I still found myself saying that I didn't want to be alone. I still wanted to have a companion. In my early 40s, how do you find somebody? So I set myself up on Plenty of Fish. So in my profile, because I had already sort of experienced men asking me what I look like, you don't have any full body shots, and what size are you? And I'm like, I don't even talk to anybody about this stuff. And then I got a lot of response. I was probably in the maybe 260, 270.
So you go through the usual process of the emailing, and then you talk on the phone, you get a little bit more comfortable with each other. We decided we'd meet at a pub. We sat at the table and it was comfortable and it didn't feel like we were strained, it was nice. Had maybe a beer each, probably about an hour, hour and a half. And he walked me to my car. And then you get home and you're anxious to find out, because that's kind of the protocol. I get home, is there going to be a message on the computer? Does he want to call me? How comfortable is he telling me? And I don't remember if I asked, so how do you think it went? And he said, well, I think it went well. But he sounded like he was kind of hesitating, And then he just sort of told me that he wasn't interested in seeing me again because I was too big. I was kind of surprised how comfortable he was just telling me that I was too big. I used voluptuous and curvy, and maybe that might have been a mistake, not saying that I was obese, because I was definitely a big girl.
There's a lot of talk about these antidepressants that you can go on, and they often make you put on weight. And I thought, all I need now, gaining 20, 30 pounds, and thinking, that's going to make it even worse. I still kept on seeing my family doctor on a regular basis. I went very quickly from being, just arthritis to being osteoarthritis to being advanced osteoarthritis. And I couldn't lose the weight on my own, no matter what I did. So some of the things that I really enjoy, which are walking, fishing, I was doing in a wheelchair.
How many circumstances would I need to change in my life to be able to, not even just a dream, just to be happy?
And that's when I started getting emails from Fred. And he was just very polite. He told me I was beautiful. He didn't ask me my size. He didn't ask me for a full-length picture. He didn't ask me how much I weighed. And he just asked me if I wanted to get together and meet.
He had a really nice smile on his face when I saw him, so I kind of felt like, I guess that didn't bother him.
The first thing I noticed was her hair. Very black, wavy hair. And then when she got out of the car, I thought, she is just a beautiful woman. And just like lovely smile, great eyes, lots of sparkle. She just, just was a great person to look at. So I thought, well, this is starting off well. So for me, there was the immediate physical attraction.
When I got out of the car, he was already waiting for me. And I was actually kind of excited because he was much better looking in person.
I think we sat and we had dinner and we talked for about 6 hours.
Some people just, you either want to hold hands or you want to touch, something, but his neck is just so impressive. It's like a football player. And I spent the entire evening, whether it was having a beer or having my meal, just wanting to touch. Whatever the reason is for falling for Fred, him falling for me, it's next to a miracle to me. I mean, I consider myself very fortunate, right? I mean, these things don't happen to everybody,
We were together for maybe a year or so, and we started talking about moving in together. Little Britain is a very small, 400 people farming community, and on my road, we have about 8 neighbors. And our little farmhouse is a 3-bedroom, and it was probably built in the late 1800s. It sits on 110, 120 acres. It's peaceful. It's beautiful. At this point, I was eating the way I was eating and not exercising, and I reached 321 pounds. I've never, ever imagined I could be 321 pounds. Quickly, I was approved for gastric bypass. Here I am, 17 and a half months post-op at 167 pounds, which is a total of 154 pounds gone, which is essentially almost half of me. I feel and look fantastic. I'm on cloud 9, and I just happen to be on Facebook, which I do daily, probably a few times, and I decided to go through my partner's Facebook friends. And I noticed there must have been at least 10, maybe more, of friends that were on his list that were all maybe plus-size models, I believe they were called.
Well, as Karen says, I'm a chubby chaser. I never really thought of myself as that, but I guess maybe in some way she's right. So as she was losing weight, she was losing that part of her that I first knew, that I first met. I think there was a bit of an adjustment for me to sort of get past that visual.
He fell in love with a big girl. He stayed with a girl who gained all the weight that reached 321 pounds. And now I'm 154 pounds lighter than I was at my heaviest. And he's looking at plus-size models.
At least for me, I think for me it was just more of the visual, getting used to a smaller person as she's come along. But I think the fact that I think she's brighter in the eyes, like you can just tell she's happier about herself, I think outweighs the other for me. So so there's an adjustment, but I think we're coming through it together.
I don't know if I was offended. Kind of joked and I said, well, I'm not going to gain the weight back for you. And he goes, I love you for you, not because you're fat. It's just that I miss the fat Karen just a little bit. So to me, that wasn't a big deal. I let it go. I find myself letting things go.
Cut off your nose to spy your face. Slowly send your palms away. Draw fire, crawl out and seek the shade.